If you're listening on podcast, be sure to tune in to our YouTube channel on YouTube at Wild and Weird WV.
Welcome to Wild and Weird Radio, a Wild and Weird West Virginia podcast.
All right.
And look, now we're back to part 2 of the great cover-up disclosure, debrief. Is that what we're doing? Debrief?
Much, man. This is the big capital D debrief of the big capital D disclosure.
Yeah, and we had to make it a special thing for everybody who out there is listening. This is live. This is a pre-recorded show. We're, of course, for the podcast. Thank you, Larry Host, keeping it free for you guys. Everybody give Larry a big round of applause because he just kept it free for everybody. I think that deserves a Sky Daddy salute. All right. Anyway, Joe, you want to catch up with some of the comments if we have any over there in the corner, because I see there's it's just stacked up. It's insane.
So Fishbelly says Dr. John Brandenburg was told that he could write about anything he saw or heard as long as it was labeled as fiction. So he did.
There you go.
Pat says, hi, podcast only people. Welcome to the live. Larry Ho says none of this has been a surprise.
No, it hasn't to us, Larry. No.
Craig said that they want to silence and just follow orders. They don't want people thinking our pilots are crazy. And that's to a degree, that's true, because
to a degree,
especially from the commercial aspect, there are still a lot of people who are walking around and sitting on their couches right now who watched these hearings the last couple of times or have read about the hearings, and they just think that everybody's full of crap and we're living in some kind of weird reality TV show. Pat says, Larry keeping it free for the podcast people. Absolutely. Yay, Larry, and thank you. Boo-boo, yeah. Eric McMillan. That catches us up, boys.
That we caught up? Okay, cool. All right, let me see if I remember where we were at. I think we're right here.
Can you please explain to me in detail the event that occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base?
Certainly. In the 2003 timeframe, a large group of Boeing contractors were operating near one of the launch facilities at Vandenberg Air Force Base when they observed a very large 100-yard sided red square approach the base from the ocean and hover at low altitude over one of the launch facilities. This object remained for about 45 seconds or so before darting off over the mountains. There was a similar event within 24 hours later in the evening. This was a morning event, I believe 8:45 in the morning. Later in the evening, post-sunset, there were reports of other sightings on base, including some aggressive behaviors. These objects were approaching some of the security guards at rapid speeds before darting off. And this is information that was received through one of the witnesses that have approached me at Americans for Safe Aerospace.
Was this documented in any official form, whether it was a police blotter?
Yes, they had official documentation and records from the event that the witness held over the years.
And I'm not going to ask you to do it right now for time reasons, but you'd be able to sketch what was witnessed, correct? And have you seen that before on any other equipment and or during your flight time?
I have not seen what they've described. This object was estimated to be almost the size of a football field, and I have not seen anything personally that large.
That is a 1/25th scale communist Borg ship. That's what he described, a red square.
Guys, a football field.
A football field. We got an audio issue. Hang on to your words there for a sec. Go ahead.
So it's a 3-dimensional 100-yard craft. basically a flying football field. That is insane. And then the fact that it shot across the horizon in no time. What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I think the geometry of the craft that we're coming across is significant. It is bizarre. It is not traditional. It's not sci-fi. You know, it's not little flying saucers and pointy ships. They're really unaerodynamic vehicles, which would be consistent with a technology that did not work on aerodynamics whatsoever. And it kind of sounds like these things do not work, in favor of our
if you generate
constant
your
physics.
own gravitational field and move against the forces
Correct.
of physics at will, it don't matter what shape you are.
Yeah, it is correct. And that is the whole point that I'm getting at there with that, because I do believe that that's where we're at. I think
So Ron, Justin's got a good comment here.
go ahead.
It's weird to live in a time where Congress is openly discussing UFO and UAP. And not attacking the witness.
Right? It's history. And that's the whole point. That was the whole, I didn't want to underplay this because it's really, it's pretty significant, guys.
Pat over here saying 100 cubic yard craft that can dart off. So just to put this into perspective, anybody who has seen a C5 Galaxy fly looks like it is moving at the speed of smell. It's so large of an aircraft. It is moving well faster than the speed of flight is required. But because of its mass, it looks like it is just moving at a snail's pace. This thing darts off like, and being that large looks like it's moving that fast. That is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Eric, there's nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah.
Hey, from Manchester, England.
England.
Payne, thanks for joining us from across the pond.
Welcome. How's the
Dear God.
Oh, geez. It is what it is, my friend.
So far, sir.
It is what it is, my friends.
All right. Now, Pat says a real warp bubble around a Borg ship. Yeah, essentially, that's
what it. I'm not making it up, and they're saying it. They're probably not even Star Trek fans.
It's just funny how accurate sci-fi ends up becoming.
Well, I wonder how much
yeah. Hang on. Here it is. Huge UAV. I got us.
With
Here we
the
go.
FAA, to your understanding, pilots that are seeing this, commercial airline pilots, are they receiving cease and desist letters from corporations for coming forward with information in regards to safety for potential airline passengers?
I have been made privy to conversations.
All that.
Mr. Grusch, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
Mr. Grusch, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself about ATs, advanced technologies that the U.S. government has?
Based on conventional advanced tech, I was briefed to the preponderance of the Defense Department's both space and aerospace compartmented programs. Yeah.
So, sum that up, Mr. Joseph.
Well, he said that he was aware of craft that were out there, that were possibly not of earthly origins. But then when asked about advanced tech, which is AT, he is dodging the bullet because he's still under contract. He's still under clearance. He cannot talk about some of this stuff because our advanced technology is still secret. We don't tell anybody about it. It's not out there to be spread around in the wide open. And here we are talking about these UAP. We're fully disclosing these guys because it's not our toys.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this is happening.
Yeah, I think you're spot on that.
Do you have knowledge or do you have reason to believe that there are programs in the advanced tech space that are unsanctioned?
Yes, I do.
That was pretty fast. That was a straight up answer.
Wow, no hesitation at all.
That was 0. He was waiting on that.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. And when you say that they're above congressional oversight, what do you mean?
Complicated question. So there's, some, I would call it abuse here. So congressional oversight of conventional special access programs. So I'll use Title 10, so DOD as an example, right? So 10 U.S. Code Section 119 discusses congressional oversight of SAPs, discusses the DepSecDef's ability to waive congressional reporting. However, the Gang of Eight is at least supposed to be notified if a waived or waive bigoted unacknowledged SAP is created, and that's public law.
Well, so that how does, I don't want to cut you off, but
Yeah.
how does a program like that get funded?
I will give you generalities. I can get very specific in a closed session, but misappropriation of funds and
Does that mean
self-fund.
that there is money in the budget that is said to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else?
Yes, I have specific knowledge of that. Yep.
Do you think U.S. corporations are overcharging for certain tech they're selling to the U.S. government, and that additional money is going to programs?
Correct, through something called IRAD.
You're up, Joe. You're up.
Wow.
Yeah, so this has not really been a secret to anybody who's ever been in the military, worked in a any kind of capacity with hardware maintenance, anything of that nature. You always hear these stories about $400 mop heads and things of that nature. For example, I will tell you about a rivet that we used to use, and each one of those rivets cost like $100, and they would come in boxes of thousands, and they priced them by individual rivets. Now, these companies, right, that are selling these assets, these not just the aircraft, but the stuff for maintaining them, because some of these are nuts and bolts that you can go pick up at Lowe's or Home Depot. There's nothing really special about them, but the government is paying a hefty fee, sometimes to the tune of $20,000 for like 1 or 2 nuts or 3 nuts in a little plastic baggie, and each bench stock is going to have a few of those in it. And those companies who are selling those are named like Boeing or Lockheed, Raytheon, things like that. So when they are selling these items to the government, and the government is just like, here you go, I take my money, they're funding these other operations. I'm like, they have to be. That money's got to be going somewhere that nobody's able to track.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely on that. That's probably the best way to explain that.
Satellite imagery. Let's talk about satellite imagery. We have satellites all over the place, some that we're aware of and many that we're not aware of, right? We're taking pictures of everything at every point and second. Mr. Grusch, are you aware, do you have direct knowledge, or have you talked to people with direct knowledge that there are satellite imagery of these events?
That was one of my primary tasks at NGA, since we process, exploit, and disseminate that kind of information. I've seen multiple cases, some of which, to my understanding, and of course, I left NGA in April, so that's my information cutoff date. But I personally reviewed both what we call overhead collection and from other strategic and tactical platforms that I could not even explain prosaically. And I have a degree in physics, by the way, as well.
Okay.
That's crazy.
So he couldn't even explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now Ashley made this comment based off of the IRAD, which is IRAD, by the way, is the research and development department of,
And she's right.
and what she's talking about here, that little statement there should be an entire hearing and audit based off that, which I think we're getting ready to get.
I think, yeah.
Man, an audit on all that would take probably decades.
Oh, it'd be absurd. It'd be
No. No one said that this was going to be overnight, guys.
No.
This thing is going to be a very slow melt.
It'd be like 3 or 4 presidents before you get an answer on that.
Do you have direct knowledge, or you've spoken to people with direct knowledge that this imagery applies to crash sites, crash imagery.
I can't discuss that in an open session.
Well,
Can't talk about Roswell.
well, we can't talk about Roswell, guys. Yeah. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, why you can't talk about Roswell? I mean, of all things, you can talk about these other things, but Roswell, it's off limits. It's the most known thing, right? I mean, are the guys who wrote all the books that far off? That's what I'm getting at.
Maybe someone directly involved is still alive somehow.
Yeah, one of the ETs. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
They're hanging out right at
They're not ETs. I mean, that was funny. Anyway,
Ashley Hilt. I can't discuss that. Equals yes.
right.
Mr. Grusch, in your sworn testimony, you state that the United States government has retrieved supposedly extraterrestrial spacecraft and other UAP-related artifacts. However, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the director of AARO, previously testified before Congress that there has been, and I quote, no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity or of, quote, off-world technology brought to the attention of the office. To your knowledge, is that statement correct?
It's not accurate. I believe Dr. Kirkpatrick mentioned he had about 30 individuals that have come to Aero thus far. A few of those individuals have also come to Aero that I also interviewed,
Okay.
and I know what they provided Dr. Kirkpatrick and their team.
Okay.
I was able to evaluate
Okay.
that information.
I need to go on.
She needs to go on, everybody.
Yeah. See, I just want to get the Maury Povich and the lie detector test says that was a lie. Pop up right there after
Right.
Mark Kirkpatrick.
Right. Hey, what do you guys? Hey, I got two. Good Lord. Look at the comments. I've got a question. You guys who are out there commenting, I want to know what you're thinking about Aero right about now. I just want just that topic right now. And let's see if we can, get some that we can actually read on the air. That would be good. Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
So Fishbelly says congressmen and guys in suits regurgitating what's been speculated for years, highlighting not our technology. We're being prepared for something we can't prevent.
What you said, that last part is what you hit on.
Yep.
That's the part. That's the event.
Has the U.S. government become aware of actual evidence of extraterrestrial, otherwise unexplained forms of intelligence? And if so, when do you think this first occurred?
I like to use the term non-human. I don't like to denote origin. Keeps the aperture open, both scientifically. Certainly, like I've discussed publicly previously, 1930s.
Previously discussed in the 1930s. And I like to keep the aperture open.
I like to keep the aperture open just in case it's not quite, extraterrestrial. Ashley brought up a good point there about
I'm going to get
previous one. I want to pop that back up. She's
so
right.
This woman used her entire 5 minutes to sit
Yes,
and talk
Ashley.
and regurgitate information from the previous hearing because I'd love to sit and have a conversation with her, even though I'm sure I would be bored to tears and start developing the same kind of cobwebs that she has stuck in her hair.
Well, at the end, she came back around and said, if this is true, then we need to do this. But that was just a savings grace is all that was.
Yeah, that was it.
I don't know if you guys ever watch Adventure Time, but she reminds me of the little old lady elephant who was always making apple pies.
That's just, man, I don't even know anymore.
So Ashley Hill says Aero is in on the whole ordeal. They aren't actually delivering information to the public, but trying to hide more by going, we got it, guys.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Aero, it's Blue Book 2.0. I said Patrick came up on the last hearing.
Yeah.
And
it's totally what it is.
Ron, I said, Ron, this is Blue Book 2.0. Aero is Blue Book 2.0.
I think I called it Grudge 2.0, but you're probably right. I think 2.0 Blue Book is probably more accurate because they're actually trying to say, oh, there's some we can't quite explain, but we'll eventually get to them. I do too.
Patrick to resign soon. I don't think he signed up for all this.
Within a month. That's what I was thinking today. I was like, if this is real, Kirkpatrick is going to walk away. I think he will.
Eric McMillan says, what happens in the 1930s? That would be the Aurora incident.
What? No, 1930s was the Italy incident. The first recovered
It was
craft.
the Aurora.
That was 1800s.
Oh, that's right.
1895 or something.
1930s, though, isn't that when Mussolini was in power?
Yes.
Yeah, the
That's-
moose was in the seat back then.
That's the whole point.
I don't think we would have gotten a hold of anything if he was in power then.
We got it. They, the Vatican helped us get it, according to what Grusch was saying.
Yeah, during Grusch's big news,
That was the big reveal.
his big interview with, what was it? Wasn't Newsweek, it was somebody else.
Vatican heard about it and got word to the boys, and the boys sent in a secret recovery team, a secret recon team that went in there and retrieved it. That was our supposed first recovery of a craft. Yeah, if it's true.
Fishbelly says, Aero, Congress, Grusch, I'd suspect it's all scripted. Heck, there are real pics of UFOs over DC in the 50s in Life magazine.
Well, it's true, but here's our issue. And, this is what's been said for a very long time now. There's two sides to this. Elizondo said that. And I know, he's part of it. Yeah, he is. They're all part of it, guys. Corbell's part of it. Knapp's part of it. It's what side they're on. That's the thing. And you have to figure, are they being led? Possibly. Think about the X-Files. I like to use that again because, man, they were so right, weren't they? They were so close. Yeah. Remember in the X-Files where Mulder was always dealing with the one Deep Throat, remember? In the beginning, they killed him off eventually, but he would put the X in the window and he would be his informant. He would give him all of his information. Okay. So, at first you thought that was the bad guy. And then you're like, oh, wait, he was trying to give him the right information. And then here's the smoking man over here trying to subvert the whole thing. That's literally what's happening, which is the craziest thing that I can't even make heads or tails of it anymore.
Ashley says, I wish we could hear what Grusch thinks about
Virginia. Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm sure he probably had
he's read in on it.
Like from where it doesn't really pertain to U.S. intelligence, probably doesn't have.
But the U.S. went in allegedly and took possession of that craft. He would be read in on that supposedly if that's the case. So very interesting. I would like to see that myself. Of course, we never will.
Has the U.S. government become aware of actual evidence of extraterrestrial, otherwise unexplained forms of intelligence? And if so, when do you think this first occurred?
I like to use the term non-human. I don't like to denote origin. Keeps the aperture open, both scientific.
Can you give me the names and titles of the people with direct firsthand knowledge and access to some of these crash retrieval programs, and maybe which facilities, military bases that the recovered material would be in? And I know a lot of Congress talked about we're going to go to Area 51 and there's nothing there anymore anyway. It's just, and we move like a glacier. And as soon as we announce it, I'm sure the moving vans would pull up, but please.
I can't discuss that publicly, but I did provide that information both to the Intel committees and the Inspector General.
Multiple revelations right there in that little bit, wasn't there?
Yeah.
He didn't say no.
There's nothing there, but there's somewhere else, aren't they? They've already moved the stuff. Surprise.
What level of security clearance is required to fully access these programs?
Well, anybody who has...
and I say that because myself, Representative Gates and Representative Luna were basically turned away at one point at Eglin. So please go right ahead.
Certainly difference between member access and say somebody like me, but anybody who has a TSSCI clearance and meets the eligibility criteria, the access adjudicative authority should be able to grant you access.
Ms. Burchett, if you'll yield. So just to put a fine point on that, there's nothing that you're aware of that's above special access program classification.
It's a misnomer that there's anything actually above top secret. Executive Order 13526 delineates the classification.
How much taxpayer money has been invested in these programs, to your knowledge? I mean, we know we audit the Pentagon every year, and I've been here 5 years, and they failed the dadgum thing every year. They lose over $1 billion a year, we think, and I've told the Department of Defense maybe 60% of their assets are unaccounted for, whatever the heck that means. In the public sector, you go to jail for that kind of crap. So tell me.
I love this guy.
So my question is, when is Burchett going to run for president?
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Oh my gosh,
the way
that's
he was going after some of this stuff was just beautiful. Because he's saying things that's on it. Literally, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on. Basically, everything that he's lambasted the government for during that hearing, everybody's kind of like, "Yeah, man, yeah, you need
it's
to get
logic.
after him."
It's logic. They actually did. So that's why I see this not being some kind of ruse, because these guys, Congress, are like, they've had it. I mean, and we kind of saw that building a couple years ago when they had their secret meeting, remember? And a couple of them broke away and was like, dude, we got to tell people this is going on. There's more. What we got? Teresa
says, I'm not sure I like non-human as it closes several possibilities, but I've been reading some weird stuff lately, so maybe I'm biased.
Well, you know.
In your experience, what data should the Aero program prioritize for potential collection? We have, location, date, time, but are there other specific characteristics that should be included in these reports?
Certainly. I think that there's two categories that would be important. One would be kinematics and understanding the specifics of how the vehicle or objects are moving. And the second would be a more zoomed out approach of being able to look at origin and destination before the incident, as well as getting a better contextual understanding of how these objects are interacting with each other.
And they're not doing that?
So we're going to hit this one real quick. Virgil, we normally try to stick to relevant comments here in the thread, but, we love the British until you start telling me that beans are an acceptable breakfast food with toast. What in the world?
I've never tried that. Is it actually good?
Baked beans? Maybe, but not for breakfast.
Wait, baked beans?
Yeah, it's like baked beans. It's like Hunt's makes them. They come out of a can. You just pour them on the toast.
I could totally eat that. Why could you not eat that? That sounds delicious.
And,
I've had pinto beans and cornbread for breakfast.
76 my way out of this one.
No, I think that sounds good. For real. I actually have, I think that sounds great. That sounds awesome. Makes me want an English muffin now.
Now, so have we considered if Grusch is perhaps a contactee? He really is risking his whole life by coming forward. What's his gain? There has to be a reason.
Okay, great question. Yeah, absolutely great. And I'm wondering about this too. And why I say this actually.
He alluded to it, I think, in the beginning.
Why I say this, the only reason I say this is because if we recall what happened with Gary Nolan, Gary came out and was telling everybody, about his work and all this. And, I've done this and I've done that. And then all of a sudden, boom, he comes out and says, oh, by the way, I've had actual contact experiences. I've seen gray aliens, I think like 6 times or something. Yeah. Had a UFO experience at a very young age, has seen things. I mean, it was just like, wait a minute. This all makes... So if that's the case, Ashley, then we'll talk. We'll talk somewhere else because I don't want to speculate too much.
I'm not wanting to speculate too much either, but I think honestly that this hits close to home for him specifically because if you remember early in the hearing, they asked if you knew anybody that had been injured.
Right. And he says a few more things too. Yes, personally. Right.
And that could be why he's coming forward. Whoever it is he knows could have been injured to the point of death. They could have been injured mortally or near mortally and left in a state of ruin where basically their bodies, they're either a vegetable or they're paraplegic. Something's wrong. They develop some sort of cancer.
Yeah, it could have been near field exposure.
It could have, right, near field exposure of some sort, could have fried their brain and they're not the same person anymore. So he's trying to come out, use his levels of classification and his authorities to step out and say, hey, look, I'm waving the flag here. You guys better listen.
Yeah.
But last week, White House NSC spokesman John Kirby stated that UAPs are having an impact on our training ranges and need to be treated as a legitimate issue. Do you concur with his statements? That's for each of you.
Yes.
Yes.
So they're over our training ranges. We just got that on the official record.
Yeah.
We've heard this multiple times, right? But we've also heard not only they're on our training ranges, we heard earlier they are in the skies pretty much all the time. Yeah, that's there's a lot to digest here. We're going to do that after the show, at the end of the hearing.
So Zakia says, I agree with you, Teresa. It could be future humans, but I suspect he's using the term non-human based on the beings that have been seen. I think you're correct there, based off what he's said. Teresa says that's true. It's hard to label something that we have no idea what it is.
Right.
Then baked beans are awful no matter what time of day it is. Yes, sir.
Oh, come on. You just got to bake them right. What's wrong with you guys?
Kelly says gas all day equals beans on toast for breakfast. I'm so glad everybody's in my corner.
No, I keep hearing this thing about beans and gas. It's never done that to me. I don't understand. Well,
it gives you gas, Ron.
No, not like that. Not what you're thinking. Okay.
Pat says I'm going to have nightmares about that statement. Beans puppet is coming your way. That's what he said he was going to have a nightmare about.
Oh gosh.
Then, or is a non-human, or he is a non. Oh, see, that's what we were saying about Lou Elizondo too. Like maybe he's one of them.
Hey.
Good point. A type of vengeance in his eyes. You can see, yeah, he does have that kind of vengeance in his, like he's on this is reckoning.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's reckoning. And I at first had attributed it to, well, he's more going after Kirkpatrick because, remember he was there and Kirkpatrick came in and pretty much just took his job. I mean, that's kind of what happened, right? Because he was a member. He was in AATIP. He did the job. And then that office was kind of disbanded and handed over to Aero. And we heard
to watch to see if he ever licks his eyeball.
He doesn't. But when that happened, I remember thinking, like, wow, that was a fast transition of power.
Adam Good says Joe needs a kick in his beans. Joke's on you, Adam. I'm into that stuff.
Oh, man. Jeez.
Okay.
He said it for me.
Disturbing.
Okay. One of my constituents actually sent this next question, and I figured I'd ask it since I had the same thought. You've said that the U.S. has intact spacecraft. You said that the government has alien bodies or alien species. Have you seen the spacecraft?
I have to be careful to describe what I've seen firsthand and not in this environment, but I could answer that question behind closed doors. Yeah.
And have you seen any of the bodies?
That's something I've not witnessed myself.
So this is my favorite part of the whole hearing, by the way. This guy, if you watch, you're going to see the stages of grief. You're going to see, the anger. You're going to see the bargaining. You're going to see the, and then the eventual acceptance at the end. And I'm not kidding you. You watch how this goes down. Watch these questions. They're absolutely great.
Okay. And so with that being said, and the other statement that has been made that was intriguing to me because my view has been that we are billions of light years away from any other system. And the concept that an alien species that's technologically advanced enough to travel billions of light years gets here and somehow is incompetent enough to not survive Earth or crashes is something that I find a little bit far-fetched. And with that being said, you have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
He can't even understand the first part, and he wants him to explain quantum physics.
Well, the best part about that is that he's says that he doesn't understand how something could travel that far and be incompetent enough to crash. What's he saying about, trust me, I'm 100% there that humanity is incompetent, but we crashed stuff on a regular basis and kill needlessly with these training exercises sometimes where a helicopter will just bite the dust and 16 or so people will be killed in the mess.
Well, remember
Or
when we
in
crashed
vehicles, you've got people driving constantly and there's all these accidents. Like, it's going to happen. Accidents happen.
we crashed one of the vehicles on Mars. Remember that? We accidentally flipped it over, and it took us forever to get it flipped back over.
Yeah. Yep.
See you guys at Hawking Hills. Absolutely.
Oh,
will. Man, can't
absolutely.
wait to touch base with you.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, we drive our cars and aren't at all competent enough to not crash. Okay. Ashley says that's a good question, though. That's a basic question that skeptics always throw out there. It really is.
But that was my whole point.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole point. It's like he's reading the same script. You know, that's the beautiful part about it.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey happens, man. Ha! Kelly says he clearly doesn't drive in Ohio. Ashley, we love you.
All right, are we up to the next clip? Ready?
Let's.
I'll get to answer your first question, and I'm here as a fact witness and expert, but I will give you a theoretical framework, at least to work off, to kind of espouse crashes, regardless of your level of sentience, right? Planes crash, cars crash, n number of sorties, however high, a small percentage are going to end in mission failure, if you will, as we say in the Air Force. And then in terms of multidimensionality, that kind of thing, the framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. It derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics. And that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shadow onto a 2D surface, that's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand, but there's probably guys with PhDs that we could probably argue about that.
But you have not seen any documentation that that's what's occurring.
Only a theoretical framework discussion. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That was great.
I love how he Carl Sagan to the skeptic.
Oh, man. I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we've all wanted to do for years, and he did it in front of Congress.
Ashley says, hey, I don't drive in Ohio if I absolutely have to. We don't blame you. We don't blame you. But the man who asked the questions absolutely does not understand what was just said. Oh, hey, he does not. He would whoa.
Nope, he doesn't.
That's what happened.
You've never seen right?
So now we're going to get into
how many of you guys remember watching on TV Carl Sagan actually going through that same analogy?
Yeah,
he took a can of soup and he put it on a piece of paper. You remember that?
Vaguely. I remember him debunking a lot of stuff and using.
Well, no, he was talking about the 3-dimensional object on a 2-dimensional.
Oh, you're talking about the gravitational
and that perception of
Yeah. I know.
The world would be completely disrupted and have no understanding or interpretation for this cylindrical object because it defies their 2D way.
It's 2D way of thinking. Yeah.
This is something that is defying our 3D way of thinking, and that's what Grusch was getting at right there. He killed it.
Yeah, but the best part is right here, and what he says. He just won a popularity contest to be there and ask questions. No, not Q test. Yeah, that's true. I bet he won't be jumping up to ask, know-it-all questions next time. That's for sure. But
it's one of my favorites by Sagan. It's one of the best analogies that, and I use that even from.
Would it be safe to say that there could be a scenario today where you have an aircraft that crashes, and because it's been involved in one program from one federal agency, and the agency that retrieves it is not aware of that program, and to them it appears alien in origin?
I mean, that's a hypothetical situation. I'm not aware of any historical situation that would match that you described. So
you're not aware. It has not happened that you're aware of.
That I'm aware of.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I hit the button by accident.
You're good.
But yeah, I mean, this guy just keeps trying. He tries. Bless his heart. Like they say in the South, he tries.
Occam's razor is that these aircraft, have they been identified that they are being produced by domestic, military and contractors? Is there any evidence that that's what's being recovered?
Not to my knowledge. Plus, the recoveries predate a lot of our advanced programs that I previously am witting of. So
talk about Roswell.
Yeah, and that was the eventual acceptance. He's just like, okay, I'm done at this point.
And if you haven't been able to tell, the gentleman to his left keeps looking up. He's looking at the time clock because he knows, he's like, how much longer are we going to have to sit through this? Because he is just asking he's wasting our time. It's wasting the hearings time.
Mm-hmm.
And next to Matt.
Well, he's right. I mean, that's exactly what it was.
You could tell
even
the
looks he's given. He's like, my God, man, you are dense.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I'm trying to find 60. Put them all out of order for me here. All right.
Several months ago, my office received a protected disclosure from Eglin Air Force Base indicating that there was a UAP incident that required my attention. I sought a briefing regarding that episode and brought with me Congressman Burchett and Congresswoman Luna. We asked to see any of the evidence that had been taken by flight crew in this endeavor and to observe any radar signature as well as to meet with the flight crew. We were not afforded access to all of the flight crew. And initially, we were not afforded access to images and to radar. Thereafter, we had a bit of a discussion about how authorities flow in the United States of America, and we did see the image. And we did meet with one member of the flight crew who took the image. The image was of something that I am not able to attach to any human capability, either from the United States or from any of our adversaries. And I'm somewhat informed on the matter, having served on the Armed Services Committee for 7 years, having served on the committee that oversees DARPA and advanced technologies for several years. When we spoke with the flight crew, and when he showed us the photo that he'd taken, I asked why the video wasn't engaged, why we didn't have a FLIR system that worked. Here's what he said. They were out on a test mission that day over the Gulf of Mexico. And when you're on a test mission, you're supposed to have clear airspace. Not supposed to be anything that shows up. And they saw a sequence of 4 craft in a clear diamond formation for which there is a radar sequence that I alone have observed in the United States Congress. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb. Again, like I said, not of any human capability that I'm aware of. And when he approached, he said that his radar went down. He said that his FLIR system malfunctioned and that he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses, and it was not automated in collection as you would typically see in a test mission.
Did you see Burleson off to his right, just looking at him like,
yeah. You guys go check out Deuster this Sunday at 7 p.m. over on Encrypted Encounters. Night, buddy. Good having you on.
Absolutely. Thanks, dude.
I just want to say, Gates looks like he's in the middle of transforming into a werewolf. Like that hair and his permanently arched eyebrows, they're always up like this.
What is it about people with permanently arched eyebrows? And I'm sorry that I don't have perfect hair anymore.
Well, you're not a pastor anymore.
That's true. That's true.
That's why. I think you got to have crazy. Yeah, you got to have the crazy hair, right? And that's how it works. Either that or you're an ancient astronaut theorist. It's one of the two. So, all right, 62.
Okay, thank you. I have a few questions for Mr. Graves. What percentage of UAP sightings, in your belief, go unreported by our pilots?
This is an approximation based off of my personal experience speaking with a number of pilots, but I would estimate we're somewhere near 5% reporting, perhaps.
So like 95% basically don't report seeing UAPs.
That's just my personal estimate.
95%.
And it's not just pilots, guys. Ron, stats.
Well, of course it's not just pilots. It's everybody. I mean, you know this as well as I do. We conduct the poll every time we go out and do it, thanks to, Stanton Friedman, who basically said, hey, I used to do this. And I'm like, you know what? That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And that's why we do our little quiz at the beginning of every one of our lectures right there.
Yep.
And it's very telling. Very telling. We usually don't have people at that very last part. How many have reported it? Almost nobody. It used to be like, I think Stanton said it was like out of a whole room, maybe 10 people would raise their hand.
Yeah, because the question starts off with how many people have had an experience, and then half the room will raise their hand. How many people told a friend? Some of those hands will drop. How many of you guys actually reported it to an investigator or an official source? You're left with maybe 5 or 6 hands in the air out of an entire room of people.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Pay attention to what was just said right there. That was the most revealing clip during the whole 2 hours, in my opinion. That little part right there. I'm going to play it again. I want you to listen to the words verbatim, what she says.
Teresa,
you've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Something I can't discuss at the moment.
Not in public setting. Not in public setting. But she also said something very important right there. Extraterrestrial. That's the second time in this where he actually answered a question about extraterrestrials. That's important.
Teresa, I think I know some guys that have a website where you can file a report. I'm not sure though, but it might be wildandweirdwd.com. Maybe, just maybe.
Oh, that's funny.
And Shane says that sounds like a yes to me. Oh,
yeah,
very much. If you watch his eyes,
that was a yes.
If you watch his eyebrows are raised the entire time. He wants to say something.
He does want to say something. We can watch it again. It's a very short clip.
Ashley says, I got to run. I'll catch you guys next live. And if not, I'll see you at the festival. Absolutely. We're actually, next week's live won't happen because we'll be at the festival. We might actually broadcast live from there. It depends on the internet strength.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Yeah, see the eyes, you're right. Now, what's really funny is out of all the things that this man can discuss, he can't discuss the fact that the government may or may not have initiated contact.
Oh, yeah.
How many of you guys were in Pittsburgh there, or not Pittsburgh, Kicksburg over the weekend when we, that was one of the big discussions there. That's, yeah. Mm-hmm. We talked about that, and it got quite the bit of attention from people. Let's just say that. So I think there's definitely a possibility that story is very, very, very deep. And it goes a little bit beyond just the ordinary. And I think that's probably some of the reasons why they're kind of keeping it, we got to bring people up to speed on stuff that is so far out there, like you said, or it's just going to look like, they're nuts. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's why we have these things that are slow burns like this. Because if you didn't, and you just jump out and say, hey, everybody, guess what? We made contact with extraterrestrials in 1970, blah, 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 because, we were conducting these experiments. And what? You were doing what? Yeah. So you got to bring that up really slow.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially not.
Sorry, it's my favorite clip. We don't want to see it again.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
So, what'd you learn from that clip? You there?
Yeah, I'm actually currently moderating over in the comments thread. We got a bunch of
Copy that. Go right ahead.
window lickers hanging out over here. So,
oh no.
So I'm over here taking care of that at the moment. You guys keep it on. I'm dropping the band hammers.
You go right ahead. Yeah, we don't do that here. So let's see, where we at? 66. We're at 67 now.
And just to confirm, this object had no wings, correct?
No wings.
Now, was the aircraft that you were flying, was it armed?
No, never felt threatened at all.
If the aircraft was armed, do you believe that your aircraft or any aircraft in possession of the United States could have shot the Tic Tac down?
I'd say no. Just on the performance, it would just left in a split second.
It looks like that we have a problem here that needs further investigation.
I'll say.
Really? You think?
Man, we still have people who don't believe in fossils are real. I don't think this is going to change a lot of people's minds about aliens.
No, you're right, man. You're 100% right. You're going to believe it or you're not. But the thing is, it opens it up to a wider audience. And, like I said, we've got our people who believe whatever they want to believe. Here's the thing, guys. I want to make this really clear. It's the same thing we say at our presentations. We're not here to make you believe anything. Again, we do not care. This is the data that was brought to us yesterday, and over 112,000 people watched this, by the way, as while it was being recorded. It's now been on, I think, worldwide. It's in the papers. I actually brought the paper home. I lost it. It's actually in the papers. This made news, and we are not here to tell you this is not a religion. Joe's not, the preacher over there going to interpret it for you. When I ask him for his opinion, that's because he actually does know what he's talking about when it comes to some of this stuff.
We actually worship Bigfoot here.
That's right. We had our Bigfoot worship last weekend.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Bigfoot worship. Yeah, that was great. That was awesome. Anyway, carrying on.
In your belief, is this flying Tic Tac? I mean, is it capable of being the product of any other nation on the earth?
No, like I said earlier, I think it defies current material science and the ability to develop that much propulsion. And I know there's been some physicists who have done calculations, which is beyond anything that we have.
He's talking about Michio Kaku right there, by the way, because I watched that, and the amount of power is ridiculous that it would be needed to do what that thing did.
Well, either the United States has an adversary here in this world that we don't know, or we really have some serious investigations to do. I really appreciate you being here.
I don't know why everything has to be an adversary. I want to address that really quick. We've kind of talked about this before. Money, exactly.
Money.
Right. But that's the whole point. I know there's a lot of people who are all freaking out there.
This was a special moment, Kelly.
And
recorded forever.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's part of the record, Kelly. I mean, sometimes he knows what he's talking about. It's just something we got to deal
Clock's
with.
right twice a day.
Yeah, Nope. Okay, anyway. Oh boy. So yeah, anyway, I think we've covered the fact that it's just not ours, but they still go on. They still want more further clarification.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about the November 14th, 2004 incident that you think is important for this committee to know that you haven't been asked here today?
No, I you know, it's been said it's probably the most credible UFO sighting in history based on all the sensors that were tracking it. And then for us to get visual and to go against the naysayers that it's something on the screen or whatever. I mean, there's 4 sets of human eyeballs. We're all very credible. Of the 6 of us that were involved in the thing, including the video, every one of us is going to do 20 plus years in the military in very responsible positions. So I'd say the world needs to know that. It's not a joke.
It's not a joke. That's what he says at the end there. And you know who he's going after there. We're not going to say any names, but we know who he's going after right there. And that's 100% fact. It's time to stop with it's just a shaky gimbal. It's just a reflection. It's not. It's time, guys. You got to accept it. It'll be okay if you accept it. Joe, there was an orb that just shot behind your head. I do believe it may have been probably a fruit fly.
Probably
I
a
would
fruit
say.
fly in the basement.
Yeah, I'd say that's what it was.
So when we think about traditional adversaries and both us towards them and them towards us, we probe their capabilities. We look for weaknesses, and we collect that data, that reconnaissance for in the event we need it in the future. For each of you, yes or no question, based off of your own experience or the data that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs could be essentially collecting reconnaissance information? Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. Grusch?
Fair assessment. Yeah.
Mr. Fravor?
Very possible.
Again, in the national security vein, is it possible that these UAPs would be probing our capabilities? Yes or no, Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Grusch?
Yes.
Fravor?
Definitely.
Is it possible that these UAPs are testing for vulnerabilities in our current systems?
Yes.
Yes. Possible.
Yep, that's what making it rain, boys.
Yep.
We just hit the jackpot.
We just doubled our defense budget.
Yeah, we just doubled our defense budget right there,
Buddy,
tripled,
that's
quadrupled.
lightweight.
Yeah, that's a home run. They just won the lottery right there, guys. That's what that was. No question in my mind, they just won the lottery right there. And guess who's
definitely did.
Well, who do you think's going to pay for it?
Us.
Those $20,000 bolts.
Exactly, man. That's the whole point.
Fishbelly said, killing something unknown and dangerous looking has served our species well.
Yeah.
But there are things we know are best not to mess with because we can't. Then Kelly says, accurate. It's like an ant going against a hawk, or some would say a squirrel going against a bear.
Yep, some would
Ant
say
just
that.
won't win.
Yeah, the end result's all the same, right? I mean, that's pretty much what we're getting at.
Then Top Gun pilot provides testimony to the existence of flying Tic Tacs.
Mm-hmm.
I accept it. In fact, I have replaced saying I believe in with I accept the existence of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's really where we're at this point.
It's not a matter of
Everybody's
belief.
Stuck in that barrel right now.
I'm going to try to remember where I was at here.
That question is brought to you by Boeing. Yes. Exactly right.
Yep.
What he just said. I'm going to let's see. I don't know if it's the same one or not. Let's find out. I think it's this one.
Is based off of the information that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs are interested in our nuclear technology and capabilities?
Yes.
By external observation, sure, that could be a fair assessment. Yeah.
Yes.
A couple of those guys were like right on the buzzer. They thought they were playing Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see that? It was just like, you gonna go? Yeah, 100%. They're stopping our nukes. Well, I mean, it's happened.
Yep.
As members of Congress, we have a responsibility to maintain oversight and be aware of these activities so that, if appropriate, we take action. I would encourage the chairman to demand that we have any and all, but in particular, Mr. Grusch, talk to us in a skiff. And if that access is denied, I will personally volunteer to initiate the Holman Rule against any personnel or any program or any agency that denies access to Congress.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I
serious.
love it.
That's serious.
They're being tenacious with this. It's the greatest thing to see.
Yeah, that's seriously serious. That cuts funding to any organization, literally, like you're done.
Yeah.
In other words, if it were to say a certain 3-letter organization, they would be gone.
Yeah. Chris says, hey, I was late to the party tonight. I'm very curious why it took so long for a whistleblower to speak out. Well, we saw what the first whistleblower went through in the 80s.
Yep. And they still don't believe him.
And they still don't believe him. And now we're sitting here in this position where we have a Congress that seemingly wants to listen to this argument for whatever reason. So I say we take advantage of it and run with it.
Yeah, right.
It makes me wonder if Bob wasn't invited or if he's just done talking about it right now.
Oh, he's done.
He was invited.
Was he?
Yeah.
Not by them, but he was invited, yes.
So, at Chris, the whistleblowers have now been given protection by government for speaking out, whereas they didn't have it before. That's true. These whistleblowers are now protected by
official
an act that was put in place, whereas before they could have been put in jail because they had to sign NDAs or it was classified information, like was mentioned at the very beginning of this. But Chris, you were out. That all of the videos and pictures of UAPs that are in the government's hands are all marked and labeled as classified. And that's one of the things that this committee is aiming to release to the public.
By the way, there are several clips that I did not get to put in here because there are over 80 clips. But there is also mentioned in the interview where he does state that he had seen one of the UAP that was shot down during the whole first of the year, the balloon incidents.
Yep.
And there's no reason that it should not be made public, according to him. So, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
Mr. Grusch, I might have asked this before, but I want to make sure. Do you have any personal knowledge of someone who's possibly been injured working on legacy?
And do that first. This is a long one.
In World War II, isolated Pacific Islanders worshipped planes they saw fly over. Are we now the Islanders?
Yeah, we're a cargo cult now. All right, we ready on that one?
Yep, run.
Mr. Grusch, I might have asked this before, but I want to make sure. Do you have any personal knowledge of someone who's possibly been injured working on legacy UAP reverse engineering?
Yes.
Okay. How were they injured? Is it something like a radioactive type situation or something we didn't understand? I've heard people talk about Havana syndrome type incidences. What was your recollection of that?
I can't get into specifics, but you can imagine assessing an unknown unknown. There's a lot of potentialities you can't fully prepare for.
Yeah.
Are you aware of any individuals that are participating in reverse engineering programs for non-terrestrial craft?
Personally, yes.
Do you know any that would be willing to testify if there were protections for them?
Certainly closed door and assurances that breaking their NDA, they're not going to get administratively punished for so.
Oh, boy, that would be interesting.
Right?
So what were you guys asking earlier?
Yeah, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
They would be willing to speak behind closed doors, and given the fact that their NDAs would not cause them to face administrative action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So basically,
speak.
Right. Exactly. So basically what they're saying is, yeah, but no repercussions. That's what we're hearing, right?
There's got to be a level of protection.
It's got to be a level of protection. And I would imagine that that's also probably a physical protection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to this one.
Why is it that you refer to the phenomenon as non-human intelligence? Why deviate from the basis of extraterrestrial life?
I think the phenomenon is very complex, and I like to leave an open mind analytically to specific origin.
When you say specific origin, are you referring? Can you elaborate on that for those that might not?
If it's a traditional extraterrestrial origin or something else that we don't quite understand from either a biological or astrophysics perspective. Yeah, I just like to keep an open mind on what it could be.
Pretty specific.
What is a traditional extraterrestrial?
Yeah, I'd like to know that too. So, what is a traditional extraterrestrial?
Yeah, traditional extraterrestrial. Like we have non-traditional ones.
Well, that would be like us saying, well, it was a traditional Bigfoot.
Right.
I think he might be talking about the way the public looks at it as a little
Maybe.
green man and a flying saucer who came from another planet.
Could be.
Maybe. Interesting question, though.
Yeah.
Okay. And referring to your News Nation interview, you had referenced specific treaties between governments. Article 3 of the Nuclear Arms Treaty with Russia identifies UAPs. It specifically mentions them. To your knowledge, are there safety measures in place with foreign governments or other superpowers to avoid an escalatory situation in the event that a UAP malevolent event occurs?
Yeah, you're referring to actual public treaty in the UN Register. It's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, the Agreement on Measures to Reduce the Risk of Outbreak of Nuclear War signed in 1971. Unclassified treaty publicly available. And if you cite the George Washington University National Security Archives, you will find the declassified in 2013 specific provisions in the specific red line flash message traffic with the specific codes pursuant to Article 3 and Article, also Situation 2, which is in the previously classified NSA archive. What I would recommend, and I tried to get access, but I got a wall of silence at the White House, was those specific incidents when those message traffic was used. I think some scholarship on that would open the door to a further investigation using those publicly available information.
Good Lord.
Now, I want you to think about what was just said.
Yeah.
You think about what was just said.
Yes.
And then for real, this is one where this is not speculation. I want you to break this down. And because I got a pretty good idea what they just said. Malevolent attack, basically. That's what they just said. ID4 type attack. Basically saying that if it occurred, that the nations would not decide to nuke each other or accidentally cause a nuclear proliferation.
I think I might know what incident they're talking about.
Which one?
I can't remember if this was before 1971 or not, but there was one point where Russia thought that we were sending a nuke over.
I remember that.
And
that
last second, the guy canceled it for some reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do remember that.
I can't remember if that was prior to 71 or not.
It was, but I'm pretty sure it was.
That one on the show.
Well, I don't think so. It wasn't. This wasn't UFO related. This, I mean, it wasn't UFO related. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. We need to look back into that. But there's a definite possibility that could be what it was. It was determined that it was a malfunctioning circuit or something, and it showed like multiple launches, as I recall.
Could be.
Yeah, that's interesting, Brandon. That's interesting. Well, I'm glad I didn't come up with that theory. Anyway.
Next clip.
I'll have to watch
what is the most vivid, concrete sighting with the naked eye of the objects that you described before, the cube-like objects?
Certainly. I think the most vivid sighting of that would have been near a near midair that we had at the entrance to our working area. One of these objects was completely stationary at the exact entrance to our working areas, not only geographically, but also at altitude. So it was right where all the jets are going, essentially on the eastern seaboard. The two aircraft flew within about 50 feet of the object, and that was a very close visual sighting.
God, that's super
50 feet, boys.
Yeah.
Man.
50 feet.
What he was mentioning was when he says near midair, that means near midair collision.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there would have been warning alarms going off from the collision alarms
50
going
feet,
off.
you would definitely think you're about to hit that thing.
Yep.
Or because I felt that my colleagues did not have a way to mitigate this safety threat, and I wanted to help them. I was trained as an aviation safety officer by the Navy, And this it just felt right. I felt like I had to help the folks that were still flying and dealing with this.
Mr. Grusch.
Purely a sense of duty. My first sworn oath when I was a cadet 18 years ago, and I still uphold that even out of uniform.
Commander.
I was pestered by a friend, and I asked why, and he said, "You're the one person that they can't discredit, and you'll add credibility to the New York Times article." And so after about 6 times, I said, "Okay."
Yeah. This town isn't made, unfortunately, by people like y'all. We thank y'all. And I do want to also thank the people in the audience and the people that are watching this that can't be, people all over the world that have kept this issue alive. You've endured criticism and derogatory remarks, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it. So God bless y'all. Thank y'all so much. We really appreciate you guys and gals.
Wow.
He loves us.
He loves us, everyone. But it is curious that when later asked, what could the public or what institution from the public or whatever they could seek, they didn't really want any public help. They wanted more, expert level help. So no MUFON, by the way, that wasn't mentioned. There wasn't anyone mentioned, actually. It was just them, basically.
For me, I was an accident investigator, so the biggest thing that you learn, and I think that witnesses need to do is, one, don't try and make the fish bigger than it was. Stick to the facts, write it down, and don't speculate what you think it is because it will sway your decision. Just write the facts down. We can get all the facts together and we can start to investigate and get a real honest story instead of, it was this big.
He's right. Huh?
I hear that before.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We get a lot of those there toward the closing, actually.
Thank you all, and I want to thank everybody. We made history today.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
They really did. They made history, and I don't think that was an understatement at all. And here is the closing from our hero.
Let me also just say finally that as a teacher and an educator and a longtime teacher and researcher, that I also really believe in following facts, in doing your homework, and making sure that you follow science as we try to get as most information as possible. And so I want to thank you all for agreeing to do that today. Transparency is a cornerstone of government. We live in a vast galaxy, a lot of unanswered questions, and thank you all for being here today. Mr. Chairman.
We live in a vast galaxy. I'm just saying, why was that thrown in there? You need to ask yourself, why was that thrown in there? We live in a vast galaxy. So it's speculation time. And now I'm going to speculate based upon that last little bit that they threw in at the very end for us.
See, you noticed that too, Pat? I caught on. He had this sense of relief, but man, if you look at that girl beside him's face, she was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Maybe he had beans on toast for breakfast that day.
So
it was breakfast time, like right after breakfast time when this hearing started.
Yeah, it started at 10 o'clock. So yeah, I think that it's interesting that he did use the we live in a vast galaxy thing. It made me immediately think of Ashid and the Galactic Federation. That he was talking about there, the Israeli minister. You remember that a couple years back?
Yep.
And everyone thought, oh, he's just a crazy old man. Well, it's funny how we give these crazy old men so much power, isn't it? I'm just saying, I'm not talking politics, but I'm just saying that, it is what it is. But, I don't think for one second that these people are as crazy as they're making them out to be. Especially in the light of some of this disclosure, I should say.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you think's going on? It's time to play the game.
Speculation time.
Speculation time. I would, if this were a non-live show, you would see it big, bold letters, but here it is. It's speculation. Everything from here on out is speculation. It is not based on data. You don't want to quote us on any of this stuff, and if you do, we'll tell you it was speculation. So have at it.
So here's what I think's going on. I think a lot of folks in our comment section have been on the money. And I think that we have been on the money, that there is something coming that we cannot rule out. There's something coming that we're not going to be able to be like, oh no, and just rub it away and say this was nothing.
Swamp gas. It was a balloon.
Swamp gas.
It was a balloon.
And what I think is coming is not something that's going to be like a Project Bluebeam rubbish. This is not going to be some like false flag invasion. I have a firm level of distrust for government myself, but we've shown the capacity that we have on a lot of occasions. And I don't think we can get enough people on the same page to agree to do something like that, and get it to be pulled off properly. I just don't think we have that capacity just because people are dumb. Anywho, but I think that what we got was disclosure with a capital D.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the UFO landing on the White House lawn the way a lot of us have always expected or wanted it to be, but this was as close to what we're going to get. You saw how seriously Congress was taking these matters. You have 3 individuals who are sitting at the table who are highly respected people of leadership in the United States military, in the other alphabet soup teams as well. And these guys were telling us what is going on behind closed doors. They came out, they're putting their necks on the line. And like Fravor was saying, one of his buddies came and told him, you're the only one that can go out there and do this and be taken seriously, because there's nobody can raise a finger towards you because you have a irrefutable reputation. And this is as close to, aliens as I think we're going to get.
Yeah.
Without having some kind of craft show up.
I keep saying that too, and I just wonder, like, how much more are they going to push it without showing us a body or something? Like, how much further can they possibly push it without revealing something physical to us?
Yeah.
Can we tie any of this disclosure to what's going on with Mars? What do you think, Ron?
Well, in my original, I wouldn't say prediction, the original pattern of disclosure that we talked about, Mars was part of the plan, because I really believe that they would, they sent up the probe, right? And I really believe that they were going to play that card next. So we found biological life on Mars. Well, maybe they were going to, but it kind of seems like at this point, who cares?
Yeah.
Like really, this just trumped signals from beyond. It just literally blew no one cares. I mean, if they find biological proof, then wonderful. But to the lay person, to the everyday person who's picking up the paper or cruising, social media, that's not needed. To science, it's needed, yes. But as you and me both know, I think they already have that. So it'll just be a convenient discovery at that point. And you've noticed these convenient discoveries that have been made over the past month, right? Like we've had some people coming out saying that there's some really incredible technology that's come out. And, why do you think they're doing that? Why do you think they're doing that? Come on.
Yeah.
How many months do they have left to come forward? If they have something.
Christmas, 6 months.
Right. So now's the time. Now's the time. You're going to, which side of history do you want to be on when this comes down? I think that's what it comes down to. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing people who are taking their sides in this it's a final stand really when it comes to this, because you do have this oppressive force that's there, that's trying to keep people in the dark. It's a fact. There, you can look back at all of it.
Congressmen were saying that, at Eglin, for example,
right,
Laura was shutting their face until they forced it back open.
Right.
Pat was saying that he'd like to see if the Senate will have its own hearing to follow up, and I would imagine they will. So, Brandon, what do you think?
I'm surprised at how forward everybody was with their questions, and even Grusch's answers. Like he didn't do the standard government thing where he would just give some vague answer. He said yes without saying yes on many of those questions.
He did. There was a lot of silent yeses that were brought up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd love to be the fly on the wall if they ever have a skiff.
Oh my goodness, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Some of those guys are going to come out and their world is going to be shaken.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's what Russ Colhart, right? He said that, there's parts that he can share, obviously, that him and Grusch actually, talked about. And one of the things that he had talked about was that after he had heard the news, he was physically frightened. Like, whatever it was actually frightened him, that scared him. So, it makes you wonder what is the big secret, right? Is it just our origin? I think it's far beyond that at this point. I know that that's what a lot of people think. They think that it has to do with that, and that's going to collapse society because of, religion, et cetera. It doesn't. It doesn't work that way. I mean, maybe a few people it'll affect.
In the game, it'd be hard to anyway, because religion isn't viewed the way it was just 10 years ago.
The biggest takeaway too is that Grusch says he thinks he knows people who are actively working in those programs right now who possibly could talk to Congress in a skiff. Oh God. This is stuff they could tell them. I would love to hear everything about that.
Well, that's where we get into the issue, don't we? Because just the stuff they can tell them. So, all right, what can they tell them that they can actually listen to? Who's read in? Who has the clearance? That's their problem, Brandon, right there. Because, it's like, well, I would tell you, but I can't. You're not in the same classification level, so you can't hear what I have to say. And I think that's one of the issues. We have something that, you heard them? I mean, Congress can't even get to some of these places and get into it. I mean, what's behind the doors? How do you get behind the doors? It's a good old boys club, brother. That's what it comes down to. And it's been that way for a long time. It's a
same
secret
club the cigarette smoking man was part of.
I'm telling you, man, these X-Files references.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Carter had it. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think Chris Carter was spot on with it. But, I don't know. I mean, and we've talked about, this potential for an event. Let's just go ahead and address that, because now would be the time. Because we didn't really ever come out and acknowledge that fully. We hinted toward it. We just said we think something may be coming. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. The Flatwoods, because that's where the data was pointing. And now with this, I mean, we're beyond escalation at this point. That was Congress. And if you paid attention to the last part of that, there was definitely a national defense issue that was addressed there. There were national defense concerns. There was a basic definition that this could be hostile.
Yeah, it's possible.
I don't think this is hostile.
No,
I don't
but
think.
What if they're done with their research and all of a sudden they're ready to pull their guns out or whatever they use?
No.
I think it's safe and sound to at least be prepared for some, or attempt to be.
If we go back to one of the things that Fravor had said, he had talked about the speeds of these things, and he actually used he said something that was really scary. He said, imagine if we had the ability, whoever had this technology could literally just, go up into space and come down and do what they needed to do and then go right back.
Yep.
As soon as he said that, I heard the Hopi legend, because that is exactly what the Pavarana, the flying shield, the legend was. That's one of the reasons that people, in the third world was destroyed, because that was the weapon they had, these flying shields that they made fly. And the description was literally that they could take off and come back so fast they could basically destroy a city and come back without anyone even knowing. This scarily is exactly what has happened according to these ancient legends.
Mm-hmm.
This has happened, okay? And according to, well, if you go to Hopi, it's 4 times. You go to I think it's, I can't remember if it's Navajo. It's one of the others out there. It's like 5 times, but it doesn't matter. The point is it's cyclical. We get to this point to where we're almost the cusp, and we do something stupid, and we get smacked back into the dirt, literally sometimes. And I just wonder, if that is kind of where we are going with this, if
when they come here, if we're going to attack them and they're going to smack us back into the dirt.
Right. Yeah. Are we going to be that stupid, or have we learned? Have we learned not to do that? I mean, I know the last time I went out and I stepped on an anthill, it was no big deal. But then again, the next time I step on it, are they going to try to take my foot off? And what am I going to do when they do that? Because I'm still bigger.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, guys. I mean, we're playing speculation, like I said, but if we look at the data, we do have the possibility that some event that is absolutely unbelievably not going to be able to be covered up at all is on the radar. And what is that event? Well, it's probably not going to be discovering life on Mars. It's probably not going to be a satellite signal from 30 billion light years away that makes a difference anymore. Could it be what we had said back then, that Avi may have been right? Oumuamua could have absolutely been some kind of a probe. It could have came. It could have found what it was looking for, techno signatures, because we're stupid. We found something, we dug it up, we turned it on. And then it said, we found them. Is that possible? Yeah, it's totally possible. Is that science fiction? Yeah, it's totally science fiction right now. But here's the funny thing. This is science fiction. At least it was.
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
20 years ago would have been.
Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. Exactly what I'm getting at, buddy. It's all related to time, isn't it? Yep. So, Fravor said something about, we wouldn't have that kind of technology, talking about the TikTok, for at least 20 plus years. I think it might be longer, actually, with some of this technology. And I don't know, guys. I don't know where it's going. I don't want to play. I'm not the doomsayer. That's not my game. But I would say that things are changing. And the last time things changed, it got messy. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much where I'm at with that. I think the last time things changed this greatly, it got messy. And yeah, there you go. That's all I'm going to say about that, I think.
It's going to be interesting to see how these things play out in the future, in the very near future, because I think the next 6 months are going to be very telling. With what Grusch has to say and the things that he might be able to bring to light behind closed doors that Congress will then declassify.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that pans out. So
that's true. That's absolutely true.
Good night, Ike.
Good night, Ike.
Brother.
We'll see you out there.
It says I'm headed into the woods to grow tomatoes, so I have some to share when the others get here. There you go.
That's how you do it, man.
Yep.
Well, just remember, they're going to try to paint this as hostile. We have not seen any direct evidence that says that it is.
Well, they said that some of them have been not great.
We have not seen any direct evidence.
True.
So let's pull back on that and understand that that is also how you get funding.
Yeah, 100%.
And let's also pull back on this and realize that over 3.2 million people, by according to a 1991 poll, you remember the old Roper's poll, have had contact with non-human intelligence, if you like to call them that now. And they've all been brought back. They were not killed. They were not incinerated. They were not exploded. They did not have any adverse effect. In fact, several of them had mysterious healings, and a lot of them went.
Barney had some adverse effects.
What's that?
Said Betty and Barney had some pretty adverse effects.
Betty and Barney definitely did. I didn't say all of them. I said that
Travis Walton got healed.
Travis got, well, if you step in front of a plasma reactor, and, probably not the greatest thing to do. But what I'm getting at is you can't say all these. You can't put them all in the same.
Right.
What did he say?
He said, "Don't kill me. Have tomatoes." Gets vaporized by Cylons.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Unless killer tomatoes from outer space show up.
Ooh, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Hey, you never know. But we can definitely go down that road and get paranoid. But I don't think that's something we need to do. There's too much evidence that says that it's not just one thing. See, they're doing what we used to do. They're saying, oh, there's this one intelligence. They didn't even address the fact that there'll be multiples, right? So wait till that comes along. That's a bigger pill to swallow.
Curious about what Dave Paulides is going to have to say about some of this stuff too, especially with some of his missing 411 work and what he's done with the UFO community in the past.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely true. So, folks, I don't know. It was kind of weird. I was supposed to have did the thing yesterday, the case for contact. I feel that that's a moot point at this point. I think that whole presentation is going to get scrubbed. I think we have made contact. I think now it's going to be a case of just, getting people used to the fact that, we're not the alpha. And that's going to be a hard position for some people to take.
I think the bigger question is what happens now.
Well, that's it. Exactly. What happens now? It changes a lot of stuff.
Once they get over the UFO hump, they'll have a Sasquatch hearing. I'd like
that's what we're hoping.
Thing with Bigfoot, but
that's what we're hoping.
But part of me is hoping that this North Carolina University DNA project is going to go somewhere with that.
And you just never know. Again, things like this affect all that.
At the same time, so maybe it's related. I don't know.
We do know that ALSAP did study Bigfoot-like activity, encrypted activity at Skinwalker Ranch, not the TV show, the actual place. That was a very real thing. They spent a lot of money out there.
Bigelow Aerospace.
That's right. And they were definitely convinced that there was something going on, and Bigfoot was right there, or Bigfoot-like, I should say. Creatures were definitely a part of that equation. So who's to say, man? I'm of the belief, like if you've watched any of our stuff, you know that we don't hide from it. It's there. We don't like it sometimes. The data is the data. So what are you going to do with that? We've had to adjust to quite a few weird things. So I'm imagining there's a lot of people going to be adjusting to a lot of weird things, and we look like we're not so weird anymore. We might have to change the name to Wild and Normal Radio. I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
Whatever normal is. But I don't know. Joseph, I think we've done a pretty good job dissecting this, cutting it up, and making it a little bit more understandable for everybody. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know I totally enjoyed the show. Why don't you tell them where they're going to be able to find us, what's going on in the near future, and then we can
ready for the
wrap this up.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
We are going to be at Hawking Hills Bigfoot Festival next weekend. It's going to be a blast. We're going to be there the 4th and 5th. So that's Friday and Saturday of next weekend. You can come hang out with us there in Hawking Hills, Ohio. We're going to be speaking. I think it's on Friday night. And then we're going to be following up with that with Wood Booger Jamboree in John Slack Park. That is going to be a massive back to school drive with school supplies. So if you're coming to Wood Booger Jamboree, bring some school supplies with you. We're going to pack them into a trailer or into a bus.
Remember, that's free. So
it's free to attend.
Yeah. So bring some school supplies and
help
just
the local schools out.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
And all that great stuff. We can't wait to be a part of that and make a massive donation of school supplies in the name of Bigfoot. Then we're going to be...
God, it has become Bigfoot worship. The crap.
Right? Then the week after that, you can catch us at Cryptid Bash 3. We're going to be in Hicko, West Virginia. That's going to be a fun time. Come hang out there. It's at a brewery. Then we got some time off, and then we will be Flatwoods Monster Convention in it. Because September 9th, then the Mothman Festival. The Flatwoods Monster Convention, September 9th of this year. It's going to be at the Days Inn and Suites at Flatwoods, West Virginia. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers featuring Stan Gordon. We've got Ray Zamansky. We've got who else we got? We got
Andrew and Dave.
Dave coming.
But the big deal right now is Zamansky
right here
promising that he's going to drop some massive truth bomb. I think he's got something that he's going to be sharing there at the convention exclusive. Man, we couldn't have picked a better year to do this.
Oh, right.
Like everything. No, it's the literal year of disclosure. And here we are having a UFO convention in the town where, we basically had a UFO crash. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's, we've got that going on. Those are where you can catch us the next little bit. Then if you want to help support Wild and Weird Radio and keep it free for eons to come, you can become one of our super chatters yourself, make donations to the show, or we can just send you some stuff. You can buy some things straight from us from the shows or at the website. You can find us out and about, get some things. And we like that kind of exchange. We'll give you something and, you get to take it home, set it on your mantle, hang it on your wall, however you want to do it. And we love you guys. You all are absolutely amazing. The supporters that we have got from here, the community that we've built is fantastic. And man, for a live show, I think this one tops the record books, man.
Man, I'm going to go check the numbers while you guys are here because this has been pretty remarkable. I'll just tell you that. I don't know if we've broken your records or not, but
has to be close.
Brandon, give him the spill on the book.
There we go.
Yeah.
You can get this on Amazon, the hardback. I priced it at $25.99 because Amazon charges ungodly amounts for their paper nowadays.
Yeah.
And I also have a paperback with me too.
I'd like to report that Disclosure and Cover-Ups, this episode has now broken all records with 477 messages, 100 and just on the YouTube side, 158 real-time views, which is good for us. These are our numbers. We're happy with those numbers, guys. I know it sounds like small potatoes to you 10,000ers, but you got to start somewhere. And man, what a great episode. You guys just knocked it out of the park. That's all I can say for you. And if you want to beat, you want to break your record, go ahead. You got a couple minutes. Let's see how many comments you can throw in there to bust that 477 door down, because that's pretty impressive. 479. Sorry, 479
guys,
door.
We appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming on and joining us. We know that this is not a sensationalist show. This is a show that, just like what Congress was stating earlier and like what the witnesses were stating, to stick to the facts, stick to the data. Don't run with speculation, but look at what the data is telling you. Everybody hit that like button over on YouTube.
Like it, share it, get it out there so everybody can see it. I mean, this is we do this every week. Come on in. Did we have any of our West Coasters that managed to come in? I know we stayed on a little later. I was wondering if we had any of our West Coasters that came in.
Oh, we got another super chat. Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Teresa is one of the show sponsors. And has now been blessed by the Sky Daddy. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, brother.
We're
you guys are awesome. We appreciate every one of you guys for everything you do. Just tuning in and listening and asking questions, getting engaged. It's great to see all you guys hanging out.
Well, you put us to work on this one because it was hard to keep up with, that many comments, but we managed to do it. And we managed to do some good moderation along the way to keep it. Again, this is a family-friendly show, and we're going to keep it that way. So, look, Russ. Thank you, Russ. Hang on, is Russ?
He has entered the super chatters realm.
Okay, that's what I thought. Russ wasn't on there, right?
He is now.
All right,
chatters.
Russ,
appreciate you, man. Thank you so much,
Bailey. Right,
hey, Robert. Thanks for jumping on. Good night. We appreciate you being in the house.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. You guys have absolutely made it worth it. I mean, when I saw this thing, so I saw this thing yesterday morning. I have a lot of stuff I had to do. And I'm like, well, I'm going to record this show. I'm going to record this show, and we're going to somehow turn this around and make it into the live episode. I had no idea that it was going to involve me cutting up over 80 clips. And then in real time, so you can only upload so many. So as we're doing that, I had to go over and actually real time delete and upload as we were going. That's why I would mess up every now and again, by the way. But I knew that it was something we had to do because we put ourselves in that corner before. Every time we've had one of these major things, we did a special report. This one just happened to be within, the window. So we did it. I'm glad you guys were here to witness it. As Brichette said, we made history here today, guys.
Yes, we did. Daggone it.
Dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
We made history here today, guys. Dadgummit. That's it.
Right.
Respect to Brichette. Respect to those guys.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Everybody, thanks for joining us. We've had a great night with you all. You guys, will see you. We're going to try. It depends on the internet signal at the hotel next week. We're going to try to broadcast live for a little bit from the hotel, so that we still have a chance or still have a live episode for you guys. As always, stay wild and weird, because it's only getting weirder out there. Holy crap! From out of nowhere at the end of the show,
Chris Cood. I swear, you guys keep doing that. We're just going to keep talking. We're going to be like Brichette.
The executive producer level.
Yeah, Chris Coots. Let me add you. Hang on. Let me add you.
Chris, you're awesome, man.
I got to get him added.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you. It's,
man, if we lost it, I would be absolutely devastated.
At executive producer status. We've got Adam Good at executive producer status.
There we go.
Larry Hose at executive producer status.
Yeah, I need to change everybody's position, but yeah. And then I'm going to add you to the web page as well, because I got a little, there's going to be a thing over there. I got to get back into doing that. But when we get unbusy, I don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be.
It's coming, I hear. I keep working for that. So a breather.
You guys
it says Chris Coot, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's all good, right, Chris? Chris.
Guys, thank you so much for supporting the show, for supporting and keeping it free, because you guys, like, it literally, all the donations that come towards this, we're not pocketing any of it. It's going straight into the show and production of the show, and it's going into the streaming services that cover this broadcast, because this stuff's not free to be able to broadcast the way we're doing it. We appreciate you guys so much for doing those things and supporting and sponsoring the show. Yeah, I guess I'm a coot now.
You coot. All right.
Guys, thanks again. Remember, stay wild and weird, because it is not getting any more normal out there. Good night, everybody.
Live long, et cetera, et cetera. You know, there it is.